Good evening, everyone. My name is Ani. Thank you for coming to our biology club's meeting tonight. The purpose of this event is to hear from former SRJC students from the following schools to provide some information and insight into what their school would be like if you are considering the transfer path. And I'd also like to add that this meeting will be recorded and posted on the SRJC website, so please keep that in mind if you intend on speaking during the Q&As. Sam Warner will be my co-host for this event, and on that note, I will hand it off to Sam.
All right, hi everyone, my name is Sam. Tonight we have students from UC Davis, UC San Diego, UCLA, and from Stanford here to speak to you about all their schools. And if you guys don't mind, I'd like to have each of you briefly share your name, major, and maybe your future career and goals. And Pemba, if you don't mind starting us off.
Yeah, I can go first. Hi guys, my name is Pemba Sherpa. I am majoring in biochemistry and molecular bio, and I'm also hoping to double minor in women's studies and also public health. And I'm super excited to talk to you guys today.
Awesome, thanks Pemba. And Zachary, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. My name is Zack Sturgeon. I am a biological physics major at UC San Diego, and I'm hoping to become more involved in biomedical research in the future.
Awesome, thanks Zach. And Somali?
Hi guys, my name is Somali. I am a third year microbiology, immunology, and molecular genetics major at UCLA. And in future, I would like to do something in biomedical research, either clinical research or just like lab research.
All right, very cool, thank you. And finally, Lexi.
There we go. Hi guys, I'm Lexi. I am a human biology major, but basically you like create your own major, so you get a concentration, and my concentration is the biological underpinnings of health and behavior with applications in neurodiversity and human design. If anyone has a better way to put that, like more eloquently, please let me know, because I had to make it up. So yeah, please, any suggestions? Oh, and I'm becoming a physician, hopefully.
Awesome. Thank you guys all for sharing. So we're thinking for tonight, we could give each of our speakers about 8 minutes or so to speak and answer all the questions provided. And then we'll have time for a Q&A after each speaker. So people that have questions for a specific school can ask the speaker their questions. And so with that, if Pemba, if you want to kick us off here.
Yeah, do you want me to share the screen?
I think we're gonna have Sarah share the screen here.
Gotcha.
And so whenever you guys want to move to the next slide, you can just let her know.
Okay, I'm ready to start. So hi guys, I'm talking about UC Davis today. I think UC Davis is a great university. I would recommend UC Davis to you guys for its diversity. It has a lot of research opportunities. It's #1 for vet school and agriculture. And we also have a lot of graduate programs. We have our own vet school, med school, nursing school, school of education, law school, and a lot of great things. How would you say your school has transitioned to online learning? I think UC Davis has done a pretty good job. We have asynchronous classes, and you can take synchronous classes and also like watch the videos later at a later time. And the teachers are super understanding. You can like, if the office hours doesn't match with your own time, you can like switch the office hours. We have a lot of online resources such as online tutoring. We have online seminars, online career fairs, counseling. And the class sizes are about 150 students for your major courses and about 30 students for discussion classes and 20 students for seminars. Next slide, please. So I just have a bunch of pictures of UC Davis. That's the Shields Library. It's really cool. It's still open right now. It's socially distanced and it's really cool to study there. And this is the egghead right outside UC Davis Library. And that's the tank. This is the Arboretum. It's really cool place to hang out and bike around if you're interested in that. And cows. Next slide, please. Social life and others. I think the best place to hang out for students is I like hanging out in the library, so I just go there and hang out with my friends. The Memorial Union is a great place, and there's a lot of cafes in Davis, so you can just drive around or bike around. We have a lot of financial aid. I feel like if you guys have heard about the Blue and Gold opportunity, if your family makes, I think it's under $75,000 or $80,000, you get full ride tuition. And for a middle class family, that makes about $120,000. It's a little less, but we have a lot of other opportunities for scholarships and also outside scholarships. I don't have a list for the scholarships, but if you look up online UC Davis scholarships, you'll find a whole list. And what's the one thing you change about your school? I think the heat. UC Davis is super hot. So yeah, that and the location, it's like far away from the major cities. So if you want to do internships and you don't have a car, it might be a problem because you have to drive from cities to cities if it's not a UC Davis internship. And here's other pictures. On the left top, we have the MU. We have other stalls too, not just the cafe. There's a lot of good food. It's closed right now, so we don't have a lot of options. And on the right side, we have the Arboretum. The bottom picture is the Memorial Union. And on the bottom of the Memorial Union, we have a lot of gaming, bowling alleys. So that's a fun place to hang out. And during normal hours for school, we have food trucks outside the Silo Market, which is closed right now, unfortunately. But yeah, that's great. And living in UC Davis. I think the housing, the most affordable places you can find on Facebook pages, people are usually posting about like rooms and stuff. So if you go on the Facebook page, I can tell you guys more about it if you're thinking about transferring to UC Davis. You can just email me. I will let you know about the Facebook page. Next quarter, I'm planning on moving to La Rue, which is, I'm living in a double, so it's about 542, which is pretty reasonable compared to like the UC Davis official housing, which is like $24,000 per quarter. It's like super crazy. How accessible is the food on campus? We have a lot of food. I used to live in Sonoma. We didn't have a lot of Asian food there. So coming to Davis, it's like super crazy. We have so many Asian food places. Near campus, we have a lot of great restaurants, and it's very affordable. It's like you can find good food in like $8 to $10. So here's some, I'm done with that one. Here's some places you can hang out. That's the farmer's market. We have farmer's market every Wednesdays and Saturdays, and it's a great place to hang out and have picnic with your friends. That's the Memorial Union, the bowling alley, and this is like the bike map for UC Davis. It's super accessible for bikes. So if you guys want to bike around, this is just the campus, and we also have rock climbing facility inside the campus gym. So that's super cool. Extracurriculars, we have more than 800 clubs, which is crazy because like the first day I came to UC Davis, I was scrolling and I couldn't even finish the whole list. We have the farmers market, like I mentioned, the ARC, you can go to the gym. I think they're open now. They have like 50% less people now, but it's still good that they have that. The MU Gaming Center is closed for now, but they're hoping to open soon, I think. And we also have great concerts. We've had Chance the Rapper come in to UC Davis to perform. I think Phoebe Bridgers came in just like last week. It was live concert, which was great. Job opportunities on campus. There's a lot of career involvement fairs. It's not happening on campus right now. It's all online. You can access the fairs through Handshake. We have the ICC. They're like the Internship and Career Center. They have a whole bunch of programs listed there, so they're super helpful. The HRI is the health-related internships. They have a whole list of things, great things. And you don't need to have like a transcript or anything, just apply and you'll get in. And they have research symposium where you can find great research opportunities. What activities can the students get involved in? So like I mentioned, we have a lot of clubs, we have student-run clinics, we have a lot of sports if you're interested in that. And we have 60 chapters of like sororities, which is co-ed, can be co-ed or like single gendered. So yeah, guys, any questions?
Yeah, did you say that if the family makes less than 80,000 a year, there's a full ride tuition?
I believe so. Not sure about the housing, but the tuition would be waived fully. If you look up Blue and Gold program,
tuition was, look up what?
Sorry, I can type it in the chat. Just look up Blue and Gold scholarship. But you would have to apply to FAFSA for that. So make sure you.
No worries, Gemma. We'll take care of it for you. I'll put it in the chat.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Mhm.
Oh, perfect. Thanks for the link.
I have a question, Pemba. As a transfer student, do you feel like it was hard to build your connections in social life, or what would you recommend for transfer students to build connections socially and academically, and
So we have this thing called transfer page on Facebook, and if you look it up, you'll find a whole bunch of students who've already logged in and like signed up, and you can just talk to them, like find interests, similar interests, and like make friends. That's how I made friends, some of my friends. And also, we don't have any transfer center. It's not open right now. It's all online. But I did make friends online over Zoom. That was a great way to make friends. What else? If you want research opportunities, I would say look up for first year seminars. We offer that at UC Davis. And I hope so. I got into a lab for cancer research through first year seminar. I emailed my professor and she was very nice and she let me in, so that was nice.
I'll put the link for first year seminars in here. First year seminars are basically course-based undergraduate research experiences to get people involved. They're aimed at freshmen, but they also aim them at transfer students as a way to connect them with people who get involved for internships, et cetera.
And is it, I don't know if I'm muted. Okay, I'm not muted. I don't think I caught it. Is it possible to transfer over to UC Davis if you are planning to get a psychology degree?
You mean a psychology undergrad degree?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool.
And Pemba, what advice would you give to a current JC student looking to transfer to UC Davis, if anything?
I believe in you guys. You guys can do it. I was in your position once and I made it, and you guys can do it too. Oh, so suggestions. Just, I don't know, try hard. It's hard during quarantine time, I feel like, but just keep grinding and you just take breaks. Yeah.
Do you feel like what is something you wish you had known before you transferred? If that someone had told you, what would it be like you wish you had known in advance before you got there?
I feel like to transition from JC to a quarter system was a little tough because everything's so fast paced. So I think I could have, like, if someone had told me about that, because like the people I talked to about Davis, they were like, oh, it's easy, like you'll be fine, right? But when I got here, it was hard for me to transition from semester to quarter. So I feel like it's not easy, but just make sure you don't like take a lot of classes at once in the first quarter, and make sure you have a balance for work and like school and fun time.
Since UC Davis is part of the TAG program at the JC, what was that process like for you? What was your experience with that?
I think the tag really helped me. Well, it was easier because like you already know you got in through tag. So I wasn't super stressed about the UC application so much. And I feel like the JC does a good job of like helping people applying for tag, because I got a lot of help for my essays, and they like review your application. So that was really nice.
Okay, cool. Thank you. That was great. So if nobody has any more questions, next we have Zachary Sturgeon representing UC San Diego. And yeah, I'll hand it off to Zachary.
Thank you, Annie. Let's see. I go to UC San Diego. And there's really a lot to recommend at UC San Diego. I think it's appropriate that I'm talking to the biology club right now because they do have just an incredibly varied number of opportunities for biology research. I don't know details. One thing I'm doing right now, the lab I'm working in is working on diagnostic tools for certain diseases. They're also working on growing tissue, which is something I'm not involved in because you don't trust that kind of thing to undergraduate students. You don't. They have a world-class medical center too, which gives a lot of opportunities to work with patients, gather patient data, and use that to conduct your research. It has an opportunity of being social, or a reputation of being socially dead. I found that the student organizations on campus are very active. I'm pretty active with the physics club and with several others as well. The faculty has been impressive to me so far. I think one thing you get warned about when you're applying to a research university is that the focus is on research, and the professors might not be as focused on teaching. That has not been my experience so far. A lot of them seem to take a lot of satisfaction, and they seem to put a lot of thought into how best to communicate their knowledge to their students. And it's San Diego too. It's gorgeous down here. The weather is always perfect. So there's a lot of activities to do around campus and on campus, which I will get to on the next slide, I think. For how we've transitioned, I apologize. Let's go back another slide. For how they've transitioned to online learning, they've managed to do great work just creating opportunities for students to get connected and to foster cooperation between students during our discussion sections and in breakout rooms during our lectures. And the student organizations have also continued to be active, just creating opportunities for students to connect. For class size, it varies. I'm taking a lower division biology class, which has 300 people. My major specific upper division classes are usually 70 to 100, and like biological physics specialty classes are 10 to 12. The universal constant is no matter what the class size is, no one goes to office hours. So go to office hours. You'll definitely benefit from it. I have a class of 300 people. I'm the only one at office hours. It's ridiculous. These are a few buildings. On the left is the Geisel Library. In the middle is the medical center. On the right is some of the student housing. You'll notice they have a theme with their architecture. They like a lot of glass. They like things to look like they were made in the year 3000. We can skip forward. Oh, my lab's in the medical center too. It's a cool building. Places to meet people. UC San Diego has a college system, so they divide all students into 7 different colleges. I have not heard a good reason for why they do that, but one thing that you can benefit from is each college offers writing classes that are specific to transfer students. So you'll get a small transfer or classmate of transfer students who are in a similar situation as you, and that'll create opportunities for you to connect with them. For other opportunities, the transfer center does publish activities, and they also have transfer senders that do direct outreach to transfer students in order to just kind of help you get set socially. Campus housing is also just a good way to get yourself set socially the first time you find yourself on your new campus, because you're going to just be exposed to a lot of people, and that'll be a good chance to build up your social support network. And one thing Pemba also said, it's great to get involved in student organizations. I'd encourage you to get involved if you're transferring in the fall. Reach out now. See if you can get involved in some club stuff over the summer. Everything's online anyway. That'll give you a chance to meet people. And if you can, try for an officer position, because then you'll be active in the community. People will get to know you. You'll get a chance to work on projects with your peers, and that'll just be very beneficial for you and just finding support in your coursework and in your social life. Financial aid, I didn't have a lot to answer. I put a link on there because I dramatically misunderstood the format of this speech. I would also recommend just looking at the transfer scholarship specific to Santa Rosa Junior College students. So as you're applying to FAFSA through the junior college, they have a lot of scholarships available as you transfer to a UC system. So definitely look into those, apply to those. They've been helpful for me. And they do have some specialized aid for first generation students, for transfer students that you can apply to through FAFSA as well. For things I would change about the school, the quarter system is insane and it takes a lot of adjustment. Take it easy. Take 2, maybe 3 classes your first quarter. That'll give you some time to meet people. That'll give you some time to get settled, and that'll give you some time to just get used to the rhythm as well. By the time the semester is halfway through, I've already taken finals. So that pace is a lot different. There's also not a lot of representation among faculty at UC San Diego, particularly in the physical sciences. I think we have a grand total of 2 Black professors and not very many Latino or Hispanic professors in the physical sciences, which is something students are very active in drawing attention to. The faculty doesn't seem to be moving forward there yet. So that there's definitely room for improvement there. We can skip forward. So on the far right, there's just a bit of advice. When you move, I want you to make sure that your moving van has clearance for wherever you go, or you're going to end up like this poor guy stuck and just trying to turn around on a one-way street. In the middle is the view from the park by my house. On the left is my roommate agreement for housekeeping, because you just got to talk to your roommates about housekeeping. If you haven't had roommates, you will learn this. If you have, you know how important it is to have those conversations and be very clear about who is expected to do what. We can jump forward. Don't read that too closely. I think there's curse words in there. Living in UC San Diego. Okay, we can skip and let's see what I put on that slide. The most popular places to live, there's a lot of apartment housing. I live in a condo near the UTC, which is the University Town Center. It's just a couple of miles from campus, so that's a very common place to find students living. That's where I am. There's Pacific Beach, which is, as the name implies, right by the beach. It's a little more affordable. It's maybe 10 miles, and it's 10 city miles, so it's about half an hour drive. And Claremont is another affordable place to live, also about 10 miles, a little more centrally located, a little hotter. I have not lived on campus. I don't know what that's like. I have a friend on campus. The only thing he's told me is that sometimes they do construction and they have like 7 different possible housing structures, and he wishes he got to pick it. So I can't speak to that. There are a lot of restaurants. There are a lot of grocery stores near here. We have the Price Center, which has just a few dozen restaurants and different places to get food on campus. They have a food pantry on campus as well, which is free to students, and they can provide you with mostly fresh fruit and vegetables every week, which they're pretty generous with. They have very good bell peppers. So if you like bell peppers, you can go there. And food is also sold in stores.
Hey, Zach,
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt. I
that's
just
all I
want
have for that slide.
to give you another minute or two to wrap up here before the Q&A.
Yeah, I'm 50% sure this is the last slide. On the far left, you can see my favorite study spot. Right, so we're near the beach. So it's last time I was at the beach in Northern California, it was 45 degrees out. The wind was blowing at 30 miles per hour. It's not like that here. There are a lot of musical events on campus put together by clubs and by campus staff. There's also a great number of places to hike. The campus is right by a mountain, so there's a number of parks. As far as getting a job on campus, I've seen the handshake portals are pretty active. There are scholarships you can go through to get research positions, or you might get emails directly from the Career Center, from tutorial centers, or from faculty looking for TAs or something like that. As far as extracurriculars, as I've said, get involved in clubs early before you go to campus. Try to get involved as an officer as you can. We have fraternities and sororities as well, which are, I don't know a lot about them. As I understand it, they focus kind of on community building and on fundraising, philanthropy. If you want to, you get involved in student government. They have positions specifically for transfer students, so you can advocate for your fellow transfer students. And you see a lot of clubs centered around social activism as well. So pushing for issues like health equity, greater representation among faculty, and highlighting the minority experience in college. I think that wraps me up.
Does anyone have any questions for Zachary? I know I have one, and I can go first. You had mentioned the quarter system, and I know I'm not familiar with that yet, and I know Pemba mentioned that as well. Do you have any suggestions or recommendations for people adjusting to that if once they transfer? Like, are there a certain number of classes they should be taking, minimum or maximum?
Yeah, 12 units is full time. I would maybe stop there or take one less. I started out with 16 units, and that was a mistake. So take it easy. And just pay attention to the deadlines. It's the deadlines to withdraw from a class come up a lot faster. Finals is going to be, or you're going to have midterm exams in your second week. You're going to have finals exams coming a lot faster. So it's even more important that you don't miss class, and you're going to be tempted because now your major classes will meet 3 times a week instead of 2. And take it easy that first quarter, just so you get a chance to get used to the pace. Does that address your question?
Yeah, perfect. I see Amy Merkel has a question. She says, how did you go about deciding on the college you were in?
Right, so I'm a biological physics major. I specifically looked at just rankings of physics programs, and UC San Diego is very highly regarded. The second thing I looked at is just, would I want to live here? Los Angeles, no, I don't. No, that's not happening. But San Diego's pretty nice. It's the rent's fairly comparable to Sonoma County. The weather's pleasant, and if you're going to be in a place for a few years, you should pick somewhere that you enjoy living. The other thing is, the colleges within UCSD, yeah. I didn't care, so I flipped a coin. As far as I can tell, it's not that important. It's just kind of used to give you a further subgroup to kind of mash together and make it easy for you to connect to people. So as far as I can tell, it doesn't matter that much. You also don't get a choice. You can rank them, but I got my 4th ranked one, so take that for what it's worth. The only difference that might be worth looking into is they have different general education requirements. So you can look into the specific general education requirements that they have and pick the one that's less strenuous, but I don't see a lot of difference between them.
Zach, UC San Diego not only has a reputation, the reputation I've heard is it's a little more competitive, that people are a little more aggressive with each other in the classes, not as supportive. Do you find that to be the case, or you find it to be an amiable environment?
I have not found that. I found everyone's pretty supportive and cooperative. So it was easy to put together a study group. People are generally willing to just meet up and work on homework if you chat on Discord and drop a Zoom link. I think what helps, none of my classes, and as far as I know, the UC San Diego faculty is generally against curving the grades. So if you do well, it's not a zero-sum game. It doesn't mean someone else does poorly. So yeah, no, I've found faculty, I've found my fellow students to be very supportive and helpful. Political atmosphere, it's a college campus, so it's a little more left-leaning. You do see among the student organizations, as I've mentioned, there is a coalition of student activist groups. There are several organizations which a lot of the clubs seem very intent within STEM on bringing attention to the minority experience in STEM, pushing for minority students to be connected to mentors. Because I think in my class, we have one Black student in the entire third-year physics students. So finding a way to make sure that minority students are connected with mentors in a higher class than there is a focus of the physics club right now, and just making sure that they're set up for success throughout their undergraduate journey.
All right. Okay, no more questions. So thank you, Zach. That was a really, really good presentation. And thank you for all those excellent answers to those questions. So next we have Somali Namaganda. I hope I pronounced that correctly, from UCLA. Yeah, please welcome Somali.
Hey guys, I'm ready to present whenever. If it's good. Okay, I really love UCLA. I know what Zach was talking about. LA is pretty fun to live in, and San Diego is fun too, but LA is funner. Why would I recommend UCLA to other students? I think it's incredibly supportive. It's an incredibly supportive community, like with faculty so far. With COVID, almost all my faculty, like I've mentioned, like mental health resources for like the students there. And the students are incredibly supportive, like in the group chat and everything. And also UCLA is well known for their counseling and psychological health services. That's so amazing. It's accessible to almost every student. Just UC Ship Insurance covers it. You can go in, meet a therapist, and if you think you have an executive function disorder like ADHD, you can have a diagnosis and receive support from them free of charge. It's also the #1 public university, which is exciting, and it also means that there's so many opportunities and like to work with so many well-known organizations and faculty all over the states and outside the USA. And it's then it's ranked 4th in like medical center nationally, and UCLA Health is also is ranked 1st in California, which means you'll be like, if you get an opportunity to volunteer or research in the lab like I do, you'll be working like groundbreaking like research. And for example, I'm really into genetics, and it's been interesting seeing how genetics has become such a huge thing, and like how healthcare treatment and help is given out in the UCLA health system. It's so impressive, and you work with so many cool gadgets, like even for undergraduates, if you get training, you can get like access to work with so many cool instruments and projects. It's also has ranking, it has an award for their residence dining halls, which means like UCLA has the best food like in terms of universities. So come here for the food, you'll really love it. I love food. Come here for amazing food. And how well would I say UCLA has transitioned to online learning? I think they've transitioned really well. We have almost all my classes have like a campus wire, which is kind of like a Discord for people that use Discord. It's a social media website for all the students in the classes. You can post questions and you can meet up with other students. You can form group chats. You can talk with faculty. You can just make a post like at 2 a.m. and someone will like have it answered right away. So that's been amazing. And then there are group me's and GroupMe, like most of you guys probably have used it. It's really big at UCLA and it's an amazing way to connect and kind of set up like study sessions with like the rest of your classmates. And professors are incredibly understanding. I have met, like, they're understanding their own way, but they have been so understanding, like because we're in a pandemic, I've not met any professor that has no, like, bent over for the students, which has been so amazing. The average class sizes, they're so big. That's one thing that I want to let you guys know. So if you're not taking physics, I would recommend taking physics at the JC before transferring, because like the physics classes, for one of my classes, just the section was like 350 kids and the professor was teaching more than 900 kids for that quarter. So that's so big. But then your upper division classes are actually small. It depends how popular your major is. There can be as little as 20 people in that class. So upper division classes are much more smaller and they are much more direct to you. There's more support for you and there is so much overlap with your major and your interests. I'm ready to move to the next slide. And this is just like pictures of UCLA that kind of stand out. That is the pearl cut. There's so many animals around the UCLA campus, so you get to see these tiny animals and they are well known. That's like the most popular animal at UCLA. And then there is Joe Bruin, the mascot. And then down there, there is Pearl Library. It's so pretty at night. During the daytime, anytime, it's so pretty. Even the inside is so pretty. And the biggest thing was UCLA making it to the Final Four. It got a little chaotic on campus. So chaotic that we had like the ambulances and fire and everyone on campus, but they calmed it down and there's been no chaos since then. And then that's the UCLA Health. It's just a couple big buildings. They kind of stand out because they don't fit into the aesthetic. But okay, I'm ready to move on. And social life. What are the best places to study and meet other students on campus? Right now, it's been hard because of COVID. I got lucky that I got a position in a lab from the start, so I got to meet people in the lab during like the lab discussions and during like seminars. But an amazing way to meet people is the transfer center. My first friends were doing my orientation. We just like started talking to each other, exchanged phone numbers, and we've been like best friends since then. We still hang out. The transfer center has like activities that they set up, Zoom activities that you can join and meet more people. Then there is the Academic Advancement Program, AAP. That is an incredible opportunity. It's kind of like EOPS for people that know EOPS. That's basically AAP. It has the same energy and you have so many opportunities to meet mentors, to get peer counselors. If you're struggling, you'll have someone working with you in a class for the rest of your quarter. And then libraries, right now they're starting to open up libraries, but it's an amazing place to meet people. And then classes, like talking to people during GroupMe, during your discussions, you'll find out you have so many interests. And since all transfers are going to transfer as upper division students, the classes are so much smaller. So you start seeing each other in your classes that you just become best friends. What kind of financial aid is available for transfer students? One big thing that I want to say is apply for scholarships right now. One thing that really made like choosing schools easier without looking at the financial package was the scholarships that I got at the JC. Apply for scholarships right now because most of them are renewable. They'll help you like throughout your whole transfer journey. So apply for scholarships right now because it's more competitive on campus. But then there is the Blue Gold plan that Pemba kind of talked about, and it's basically if your parents are considered low income, your tuition is completely covered, your housing is not covered though, it will show up as a Cal grant. So it won't show up as Blue Gold. It will just show up as Cal grant. And if you're considered middle class, they'll cover 40 to 50% of your tuition, and it will also just show up as a Cal grant, and your tuition will be covered for. And then there is the Pell grant. That's if you're covered, if you're like applied with your FAFSA. And then there are merit scholarships. If you have, for UCL, if you have above a 3.75 when you transfer, you qualify for a lot of merit scholarships. And one thing that I would change about the school is I'm getting rid of grade deflation in all classes. Grade deflation is basically a curve. Some classes, the professors are only allowed to give out 10% A's. So what happens, like you have incredibly smart people competing against each other. And for people, for transfers, like make sure you know your classes. If you choose to transfer to UCLA, make sure you know that your classes are not graded on a curve for your first quarter, because if you mess up for your first midterm, there is no way to make it up because everyone is so competitive. You're competing against each other. And my friend has told me a horror story of people giving out wrong study notes and wrong lecture notes just to mess up people and help with their chances. So trust your gut and do your best. I would also increase opportunities. There is so many incredible people on campus, which makes it harder to get into like these amazing opportunities. Almost every organization you have to apply to, and you go through the whole application process, you have an interview process, but most of these organizations are kinder to transfer students than to like regular students because they know you only have like 2 years on campus. And I would increase faculty diversity because it's been crazy being the only person on my floor that's a person of color. So that's been pretty interesting. Next slide. So that is Paul Library. UCLA is known for working hard and partying much harder. Work hard, play hard, that's the motto. And so you have Paul Library and then you have one of the games. Right now, there is none of that because there is COVID. So instead of playing hard, it's eating hard. Next slide. Leaving UCLA. Their on-campus apartments, those are so much popular for transfer students because you kind of have your autonomy. You're not cramped into a dorm area. And then there is dorms too. Dorms are amazing because there is a transfer experience like flow where you get to stay with your other transfer students. You get to meet other transfer students. It's interesting. There is housing outside Westwood, and Westwood is where UCLA is. There is housing in Culver City, in Hollywood, and in Santa Monica, all around UCLA, which is amazing. And then there is student co-ops. Those are affordable. For transfers right now, when you're looking at housing options, also look at student co-op. Student co-op basically is so much cheaper. It's cheaper housing. The only catch is you'll have to like do volunteer service for like 4 hours every week, but it's so much cheaper. It's like 50% cheaper than like what you would get anywhere. And I did not live on campus because I found a cheaper option to house on my own. And but my friends that have lived on campus, they loved the food, they loved that they had opportunities to meet other people. And for people that are thinking of housing and you don't know anyone that's going to institution, I would recommend you search up Uloop, ULOOP. It's an amazing website that's kind of like a Craigslist and Facebook where you meet roommates and you meet housing and in your like university. How accessible is the food near the campus? There is a lot of amazing food. That's why LA is known for food. A lot of amazing food. Then there is SNAP options. SNAP is basically if you're low income, they give you a kind of a debit card that you can use to buy food for free. And that is amazing. And yeah, and then there is like hiking options. I love the Costco. The coastal hiking trails, they're so much fun. There is amazing food. I'm obsessed with Korean barbecue. That's why it's there, because I'm so obsessed with it. Like I've spent like more than $100 on it just in a week. So it's awful. But then there is so much multicultural food, and it's all so good. Like they do every cultural food so good that you'll just get addicted to it, and it's amazing. And it's also so affordable. Okay, next slide. extracurricular activities, there are what activities are there to do on campus? There is like on-campus libraries that are kind of opening up now, but in the campus is so pretty. You can go on there and study with other people. The entirety of LA, you have LA. The good thing about UCLA, the misconception that people have is UCLA is like in the middle of LA. It's more on the outskirts and kind of close to the West Hollywood area. So it's in the outskirts. It's not like USC, which is like in the middle of LA. UCLA is kind of removed. So it has its own kind of environment, which is honestly so fun. But then you have like the entirety of LA to visit. You can even go down to San Diego to see Zach. And so there's so much to do. Are there opportunities to get a job on campus? I would say I got my job by looking at my UCLA. My UCLA is kind of like our Bearcats portal. It's kind of like a school portal. There is like jobs like work study and then other UCLA health jobs posted there. And you can always email a professor there and then they'll give you a link to apply for the job. You can do cold emailing professors. That has worked for some people, but when you're doing that, I would really recommend attending Dr. Zucker's presentation. It was really amazing because she gives you a template that you can follow and helps you like know what to include like in your resume in case your resume is not strong to like, get more feedback from like the professors. And there are like department emails, like our department always emails us about listings for schools like Harvard, Emory, all over. So like that's an amazing thing. It's like these big institutions and companies contact our department and they tell us of listings right away that you cannot find online, which is so amazing. And then there is Handshake. Handshake also has opportunities, but your department emails have most of those opportunities because the opportunities in your department emails are not even posted on Handshake. What activities, extracurricular things can students get involved in? There are many health organizations all over campus, and you can be involved in a wide array of fields specialties in medicine, which is so amazing. There are dance groups on campus if people are like dancing. There is research. I really love research, and it's not only biomedical research. In case you're into psychology, there is research for that. There is research in humanities as well. So there is research in so many fields. And there is like recreation centers. So you have the gyms, you have yoga. There is free yoga where you just attend yoga with other people and they just like let you be there and you just like enjoy yourself. There is like swimming. There is a wide array of recreation activities as well. Yeah, that's it.
All right, so before we start on the questions, I just want to give people a heads up that we are running a little bit short on time, so we might have to go over a few minutes past 7 o'clock if people are able to stay, just so we can hear from Lexi and get as much information as possible. So yeah.
My question is, Somali mentioned a workshop that I had done at the end of last spring with Cabristas Pro, and we'll do it again this year where we go through like, this is how you write an email to a professor asking them for an internship. And it's not magic. There's sort of a formula for it and we can do it. And I don't know, Somali, did you say you had used that email format?
Yeah, I used that and it was so amazing because the professor let me know. I got the job over like 80 people, which is like crazy impressive.
There's a very small secret to it. You do your homework and put it in the email so they know they really care about them, not that you're just like cold calling everybody. So we'll do that again and we'll send it out to the bio club, stick around with the bio club. We'll get you everything you need. So Somali, you mentioned that you had felt like socially by joining a lab and getting a job in a lab and doing an internship that really helped you socially as well. Would you highly recommend that to people? Did you do that your first quarter there?
Yeah, my first quarter, I got my position like as soon as I started like on campus. It was incredibly amazing because I have like RA techs, the professor there guiding me with like applications and how to be a strong applicant for like grad school and thinking about medical school. And then like I am also a course assistant for one of like the schools in the School of Medicine. So it's been also really incredible meeting faculty that teach at the School of Medicine and seeing like the research that they're doing and how the students are taught.
Yeah, and so it was sort of like professionally, but also socially was like it was a win-win for you.
Yeah, and like one of the RA techs was so amazing. She set up my schedule for me to help me transition to the quota system so well, which was super supportive.
All right. Well, thank you, Somali, for taking the time and sharing about your school. It's awesome. And then we can move on to our last speaker, Lexi, if you're ready.
Hey guys, I go to Stanford University. Yeah, okay, perfect. So, so far my experience, I kind of went into this thinking that a lot of people were going to be competitive and not helpful, but we don't have like grade deflation. So my experience so far is like everyone really wants to help you, and it was really easy for me to find a community of people that like all support each other, even over Zoom. And yeah, the professors on campus are amazing. When you're learning like a bio pathway about limb formation, you're learning it from like the person who actually discovered it. So it's like you have these super profound experiences that have been really amazing, and all of the professors are super humble and have been so helpful. Also, the weather is good. D1 sports, so the women's basketball team just won the national championships. They have really great financial aid, and you can take grad school courses for your undergrad, so for undergrad credit. So for example, you can take like a surgery course where you actually learn from like a cardiac surgeon, and you go in and watch the surgeries and everything. And I haven't taken one of those, but I heard they're amazing, and I plan to. So the transition to online learning, like it's really hard for me to say because I wasn't there prior to online learning. But from what I've heard from like the TAs and everything is that they kind of shifted to more content and less reiteration of content and more application. So instead of just like spitting out whatever the lecture was on, it'll ask you more of like a thought-provoking question where you have to have that knowledge and apply it. And I think that, I mean, the professors at the JC do that too. So, but it's like a great way to learn. Let's see, distribution. Yeah, I mean, the grade, like I said, we kind of have inflation almost, because if you get an A+, you get a 4.3. So that is like a nice buffer. And they changed a lot of the courses to be, you can take pass, no pass, and you can change it at like a super late date. And so I've heard that's been helpful to people. Whole departments did where they only do pass, no pass, like the physics department did that during COVID. And the average class size, like it really varies, just like everyone pretty much said. Intro sems I've taken like so many intro sems, they're amazing. That's how you get like the research positions and your letter of recommendations and everything, because it's such a small classroom and the professors really get to know you and care about you. Yeah, and then kind of just reiterating what everyone else said, like some classes are big. You have like 150 students, but then you have a lot of TAs, which are really doing a lot too. So yeah, it's been good though. Next slide, please. Oh, so this is just, I just put some, literally looked up like current professors and alumni. The Tiger Woods one hasn't aged very well. I think I did this slide before. He just recently got in his accident, but yeah, just a little bit about the professors. You have, I think we have like 84 Nobel laureates that you're learning from, like super just amazing people in their field. Next slide, please. So I met a lot of people through the new student orientation, and we got like a group me going through that, which is just like a kind of text messaging service. I also took Transfer 101, which is a course where it's really chill. You just like kind of meet up with people who were in your transfer cohort and talk about the struggles of the quarter system and everything. There's also a couple like Facebook pages that you can talk to one another. Student advisors and academic advisors have been super, super helpful. They get a lot done for you. And I think there's like a ratio of like 8 students per academic advisor or something for transfers at least. And so they're amazingly helpful. I think a misconception about Stanford is that it's like really expensive and for rich kids or something. And like they gave me the most financial aid out of any of the UCs and everything. They have the Stanford grant, which covers like, if you're under $75,000, you get a full ride, which includes like, you know, housing, all your meal plans and everything. And there's also so many scholarships, like you get 300 emails a day of like scholarships and events and everything. It's almost overwhelming. But yeah, work trade is awesome too. I'm doing that right now. And yeah, it's just, I mean, it's just a nice like side thing to do. And you get to put it, if it's in your field, you can put it on your resume too. So, and if I could change like one thing about Stanford, it would really be that I wish there was a bigger transfer community. I'm not gonna lie to you, there's like, I probably know every transfer that transferred like by first and last name just because it's such a small cohort. So I wish that there was more, they would accept more transfers. But the nice thing about that is you kind of have like, they call it playing your transfer card. Like if you mention it to professor, they automatically know that like your experience has been, I don't know, it's just been different than most people's, and you worked really hard to get there. And so you can get a lot of opportunities from just saying you're a transfer student. Yeah, next slide, please. So this is the Herbert Hoover Tower. He is an alumni. The fountain, I think, is like one of the coolest things. You can swim in it. It's like knee deep, but you'll see like the running team, cross countryers like go in there on their runs and stuff. It's kind of fun because it is really hot there. And the Stanford Memorial Church is beautiful. You can get married there for free if you're an alumni or if you're a student there. And they only let it to students or alumni. So I thought, like, I'm not going to get married there, but I thought it was really cool that they offer that. Okay, so living in Stanford, like I didn't live at Stanford, so a lot of this I learned by proxy of other people's experience. So I'm just gonna, yeah. So they, pretty much everyone has on campus or off campus subsidized apartments or dorms and buildings. They're basically, Palo Alto is really, really expensive to live in, and there's like, maybe grad students don't live on the subsidized housing, but everyone else that I know, like that I've heard of, you kind of have to, or else you're going to be paying like fourfold what the campus apartments are. And the off-campus houses are less than 5 miles away from campus, so you could like ride your bike there. And I just put the price in there and the average square footage. Like I said, they've been super accommodative. They have so many services. Like you get assigned a financial advisor that like teaches you how to spend money and stuff. And financial aid covers most expenses for most people, or a lot of people, I should say, at least a lot of the transfers that I've talked to. And they are always updating their infrastructure. So there's a new housing building that just finished being worked on like last month, I think. Food is everywhere, just like every other person that has talked about on campus. Like campuses are full of food, and some dining halls are better than others. One thing that's kind of cool is underneath a lot of the dorms in the housing, you have grocery stores that you can use your meal cards to get stuff. I haven't done that, but I heard it's a good resource. Next slide, please. Yeah, so there's the Road and Sculpture Garden. That's a cool site. Also, I just wanted to include this on the bottom left is where I was supposed to live. Didn't end up living there, but they have like, it's nice, a nice space, and they have communal areas and like places you can print stuff, laundry, all the things. Next slide, please. Okay, so yeah, events are very, very frequent. Like I said, you get so many emails every day that kind of detail them. There's a lot of coffee shops, parks, hiking trails, a huge like luxury mall that's, I guess, on campus. I don't really know. It's like literally, it is on campus. But yeah, the campus itself is over 8,000 acres. So you have to be really careful. I don't know if this is like every campus experience, but you have to be super careful, I heard, where you book your classes, because if you book one that's like, you know, across campus, you are not going to get there. So that's something to keep in mind. There's a lot of job opportunities on campus, research work. Like I said, a lot of the times you take an intro sem, they offer you, they'll like send you out an email and say, hey, if you guys ever want a spot in our lab, like just let us know. I've gotten shadowing opportunities from physicians at Stanford Med. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. So it's kind of overwhelming. But I would say just talk to like an academic advisor. They can tell you like the opportunities that are fit for you. And as for extracurricular activities, there's recreation sports there, random perks, like, you know, you can show your card in some places in Palo Alto and they'll give you free stuff. Yeah. And also you can take 5 units for free every summer, which is kind of, so it's like, or for your flex quarter. So that's something that a lot of people do. I'm planning on doing it this summer. There's 90 undergraduate clubs and a lot of opportunities. And I think there'll be more once campus is actually open.
That was really informative. I think we have a question from Alejandro.
Yes, I was wondering, consider it was more difficult applying to Stanford than it was, say, a UC or a University of State. What would you say about that?
Yeah, so it was, so through, you know, the UCs, you have the UC application, the state schools, you have the state application. Those all have their kind of caveats and trials and tribulations. And there is a lot of resources at the JC to kind of fix those applications to be like beautiful and perfect and ready for submission. For private universities, it's all through the Common App, which is a very different interface. And there's definitely like a learning curve for it. Also, how you can kind of, you just write the essays in accordance with the UC prompts and then send them out and they go to like every school. That's not how the Common App is. It's very individualized for each school you're applying to. So like Abigail and Sean probably know this. I was in their class like creating all the spreadsheets with all the different personal statements and stuff. I applied to so many different colleges, but that is definitely a hard part. And I would say if you are planning on doing something on the Common App, which I totally encourage, talk to Robin. Robin, gosh, I can never get her last name right. Ugabarn, and she's in the transfer center. She's like amazing. She'll help you a lot. So that's a good resource. But I would say it's a little more difficult just because of it's more ambiguous, you know.
Maybe this is a silly question, but you mentioned a flex quarter. Could you explain what that term means?
Yeah. So generally, so on the quarter system, it's like 10-week increments. And basically you have like fall quarter, winter quarter, spring quarter, which we're in right now, and then summer quarter. And how, I don't know if the UCs do this as well. I imagine that they might, but you can take your flex quarter whenever you want to. So it's not as, it's not like at the JC where you have the semesters and then you have the summer, you can take classes then, but that's generally when people take time off. You can just pick whenever you want to take that flex quarter, but it's basically like your break. And then a part of going there is that when you're on your break, you can still take 5 units for free if you want to. So a lot of people still like, there's they'll pay for you to still be on campus, and you can like do research work during that time, like super intensive research work that you wouldn't be able to do with a full class load. But yeah, that's the flex quarter. It doesn't have to be during summer.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the JC classes, so that's another thing about going to a private university. The transfer credit process is really hard. Like it's save all your syllabi, I will say, like, or get them now, because you will have to, for all the private universities, you basically, the UC, what is it? The interface that basically tells you like the course outline and everything, that didn't work for any of the private schools. They wanted the syllabus. They wanted to know every book that you used, everything. And so I would say content wise, they absolutely prepared me, like everyone else said, with the quarter system. It's just like, there's no lulls, you know, like at some point in the semester you have where you can kind of like take it easy and you're in between tests or whatever. There's none of that, which I think it just takes getting used to. But as for content, I would say I'm learning the same amount of content. It's just at a super accelerated rate. But the JC classes, especially the bio program, like amazing, prepared me really well. And I'm so thankful that I came here. Okay, I'm just catching up. If there are
Well, Sarah and I are just we're just supporting you, Lexi. We're like, here's Robin Ugarbian. Here's the Common App. Here's the course outline of record.
Jay, I live in Sebastopol right now. So like I said, I was supposed to go onto campus and I could have still gone there, but it was, I don't know. I'm like such a homebody, and well, now I have to be, but I just decided to stay here for the time being. And yeah, but I'm planning on moving to campus in fall.
I'm curious what the transfer acceptance rate was for Stanford.
It's honestly depressing. It's around, okay, it sounds worse than it is though. It's 1%, around 1%. I think it changes from like 0.96 to 1.13 I've seen. And I would say, like, if you don't have perfect, this is like a really important point. One of the reasons I really wanted to come here today is that, like, you don't have to have perfect grades to get in there at all. They really, especially for transfers, they care about like your experience. I know one of the guys that transferred in the class above me, he was in prison from when he was 16 to when he was, I think it was 6 years. So he was in prison, basically has this amazing story and experience, taught himself in prison, got his GED in prison himself, wrote an amazing personal statement, gets in, and his grades from high school were not good. Another guy that I know, he applied to all the UCs, didn't get into any of the UCs, got into one state school and got into Stanford. So I would say, don't like go for it, shoot your shot. You might as well, but just make sure whatever you're like writing is memorable. And like, if I'll put my email in the chat, if you guys have any questions or like literally need anything, I don't mind at all. I was so confused during this whole process. Oh, also my friend and I, well, she started a podcast that's called Transfer Tea. It has like a lot of different transfer information. And then we're also creating an interface that's going to have a myriad of different transfer informations, not just to Stanford, but to all different places. And so I can let Abigail know. I'm sure she'll forward it to you guys. But yeah, just ask for help too is like the biggest thing, honestly.
I can just say that from some experience I've had with other students who've applied to private colleges and people I know who made it their mission to help students apply to private colleges, that it's not as formulaic an application process. So each school is maybe looking for something different. They're not like the UCs, like there's a grade point average, and there's this sort of formula that you have to pass, and the application, the essay matters, but maybe not as much. Whereas private colleges are really looking for the personality and the person who's going to create a match for the school that they're at. And a lot of them have very, very big endowments. And as a consequence, they have a lot of money and they have very generous scholarship programs. So sometimes they're less expensive than it would be to go to UC or CSU if they want you. And to be completely blunt about it, a community college students are in right now. You are what everybody wants, because everyone recognizes that the community colleges are how people get their chance for an education without having a lot of money, and they can create upward mobility. So just being a community college student and saying, I want to go to Stanford, or I want to go to Pomona, or I want to go to, what's the engineering school that's in the Pomona group, Harvey Mudd, which are super competitive schools to get into. But you're going to have to craft, you want a story. This is who I am. And I'm not just saying it, I can back it up. This is, like, I'm a person who really wants to do social justice. You have to have been doing something about social justice, not just saying it. And you present yourself as, this is what I have to offer. I'm Ani Fowler, and I'm really committed to climate change work. And this is what I've been doing since I was 3.
Yeah. I mean, I literally wrote about the frog infestation in my shower for one of my personal statements to Stanford. So it's just like, yeah, exactly. Snow, you have your hand up.
Oh yeah, I was just wondering when I'm not sure who it was that was talking. I'm trying to look at it. But the person who said, Abigail, that schools are eager to have people that are transferring. Does that also include people that have returned to school? Because I'm not an early 20s person. I'm early 30s, and I don't know if that changes
all the
things.
better, Snow, all the better. You're like, look, I have overcome. It's all how you package it.
Yeah, Snow, definitely transfer your, yeah.
And the other thing to remember is that Stanford's like the big fish in the pond, right? But there are so many smaller private universities that had even more money to look for students who will give them something, greater diversity, greater economic diversity, sports, different life experiences. So like, don't forget some of these smaller colleges that may not be as prestigious as Stanford, but you can get a really good education at them as well.
Yeah. And one of the best things that Robin actually told me was like, if you think about a district, like a bell-shaped curve, like a distribution curve, like you should be strategic about like, 2 in the upper 10th percentile, because those are like my reach, 2 in the normal 50 percentile, because I'm pretty sure I can get into those, and then a couple that are easier. But I have a huge Excel spreadsheet, again, Abigail, like, and it has a lot of those little colleges that you've probably never heard of before, with like, what type of community is there? Like, is it rural? Is it a city? Is it, what's the acceptance rate and everything? I can, if you email me, I'll send it to you. It might be outdated because it has the personal statement questions, but it might, yeah.
Okay, that sounds excellent. I will have to send you an email. I was just planning to go to the local Sonoma State University, so that way I could live at home and still get a my degree. But now that I've heard that there's other options out there, I need to slow down and reconsider things.
Yeah.
The Robin Gurbian's email is in the link in the chat, Snow. I think your first step would be to make an appointment with her and get her advice.
Okay, that sounds good. You said to make an appointment with Robin?
I think that, don't you think so, Lexi?
Yeah, I would just, yeah, go talk to her. She helped me so much because it is like super daunting, especially when you're going to go the Common App way. You see like the list of schools you can pick and you're like, oh my gosh, what is, yeah. So just like, she has a lot of great insight. She'll totally help you with like, I made probably 12 appointments with her over the course of like the year that I knew I was going to apply. She's awesome.
I know we're gonna have to wrap it up in just a moment, but I just want to, if I might come in and just make my big plug, and you guys, my bio club students know this about me, but the main biggest takeaway that you should get from this meeting and this event is that SRJC students are the best, and that we represent an alumni network that can support each other in our career and academic pursuits. And the reason people go to Stanford or Harvard, whatever, is in large part for the connections they make. But you are making connections right here at SRJC that will serve you the rest of your life. And, you know, it cuts both ways. We have students like Lexi who are willing to reach out, and Zach and Somali and Pemba to help you. But also we're trying to create, we have a network to hopefully connect Lexi and Pemba and Somali and Zach to the next people who are farther ahead up from them. And our goal is for SRJC to take over the world and support each other, right? And so this is the kind of thing you do. So all of you will be maybe called upon in 2 years to come speak about your transfer experience, and you'll help the next group of people. Meanwhile, Lexi is going to contact some of the people, and Somali and Pemba, who have gone on to medical school, who are SRJC alumni who are sitting on medical school admissions committees for her advice about applying for medical school, right? And so we just need to support each other. And I feel so proud and touched that, you know, you guys are coming back to help each other out. So thank you so much for doing that.